Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Shonwa Kimale here in Abuja. Let's begin with some of the story that is making the rounds about the structure of Nigerian education system. So the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, today says that the government will engage stakeholders over the proposed 12-year basic education model. Dr. Alausa made this known during a press briefing here in Abuja during the extraordinary National Council on Education meeting in Abuja yesterday. Alausa had presented a proposal that aims to transition to 12 years of compulsory education within the existing 633 system. Take a listen to the Minister of Education.
Yesterday, at the council meeting yesterday, was to put this idea out for us to discuss before we now decide what exactly we're going to do. And I want to clearly clear the sensationalization that has gone out since yesterday, that the Federal Ministry of Education, the federal government, has scrapped a GSS and SS, a primary school GSS and SS education. We have not. That still stays. What we're saying is that we need to move from what we have now as 9 years compulsory education to 12 years of compulsory education as it's obtained in other parts of the world.
All right, that's the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa. Well, tonight, our attention about a lot of what you be asking. When you get a bad service, when you have been badly treated, when you have been unfairly treated, where there is an unfair competition within the marketplace, as a Nigerian, who do you cry to? Who listens to you? Who even handles your complaint? Is it properly handled with the best global standards that is available? So when someone's, you pay for a service and you're not getting it, do you have the right under the law as a citizen to fight for it? Who exactly is supposed to be doing it? Where there's an organization, the FCCPC. And the man who is saddled with that responsibility, the CEO, will be speaking with us tonight, where there is going to be a tariff increase on telecoms and more tariffs in different sectors. But what is the plight of Nigerians in this sector? Plus tonight also, I'll be speaking with Chief Olabode George, one of the elders of the People's Democratic Party. And they do say, where Bode George comes from, that the elder cannot be in the marketplace and the head of the child will be turned backwards. It means literally that something is wrong with the People's Democratic Party. So what is the medicine to cure it? So we'll be speaking with him tonight on the program. But before we get started, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The Commissioner of Police for the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Olatunji Disu, says the FCT Joint Task Force has begun clearance operations in states bordering the nation's capital. The CP said this while briefing the press after the second FCT security meeting chaired by the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike. He asked that the move is to ensure a total overhaul of the security situation within and outside the nation's capital.
This clearance operation has been going on and it has been very, very successful, and has been contributing to the peace you have been noticing for the past 1 or 2 weeks. We finally decided that we are going to involve security operatives and other states bordering the Federal Capital Territory in joint meeting, joint collaboration, and joint operation.
The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has reiterated the call for a special court to try electoral offenders, stating that regular courts are overwhelmed by numerous cases, which is making it long and difficult to try cases of electoral fraud. Mr. Yakubu said this during a stakeholders meeting with the media in Abuja. He appealed to the media to support the commission ahead of the upcoming elections across the country.
So far, successful prosecutions have been recorded in Kebbi and Kogi states, while our collaboration with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, on vote buying has yielded similar results in Lagos, Kwara, and Gombe states.
A civil society organization, Kimpact Initiative, wants proactive security deployment to the use of surveillance technology for real-time incident tracking in the election process in Nigeria. The executive director of the organization, Mr. Bukola Idowu, said this while presenting a security report of the Edo and Ondo governorship elections in Abuja. While applauding security agencies for ensuring a peaceful conduct of election exercise in the two states, Mr. Idowu noted the importance of strict accountability mechanisms and improved welfare for security personnel on election duty to prevent compromise, and called on the National Assembly to expedite action in the electoral amendment process.
Our finding shows that the neglect of pre-election and then post-election is something we need to begin to tackle if we want to move our election forward in Nigeria.
The Ajiji Ahmed group of the New Nigeria People's Party has rejected the Tuesday convention that led to the election of Dr. Agbo Major as the party's new national chairman. The group insists that the convention was illegitimate and that Mr. Ahmed remains the only recognized national chairman of the party. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, Mr. Ahmed noted that the Mr. Agbo-led group are no longer members of the party.
There is only one NNPP under the leadership of my humble self as its national chairman. And this NWC, with this building as the national headquarters of the party, known to law and to the regulating agency for political parties in Nigeria, that is the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
A youth group in Imo State has unanimously passed the vote of confidence on the economic policies of President Bola Tinubu, according to the Southeast Zonal leader, Mary Ikoku. Although the present economic policies of the president might come with initial pains, but it will eventually lead to economic prosperity for the nation.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. So there are several issues relating to the rights of the average citizens in the country when it relates to competition within the marketplace, the consumer protection, and of course, what the rights of an average person receiving a service either paid for or in the public domain. The FCCPC, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, has been saddled under the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act 2018 regulations, and which gives it guidelines on how to operate and the extent to which Nigerians can be protected. Well, the FCCPC new boss had gone to town speaking and interacting with telecoms operators on how to prioritize visible and measurable improvement in network reliability. If people are paid, they must be able to get commensurate service to what they have paid for. Well, they are asking for an increment in tariff. But tonight, I'm being joined by a lawyer, political scientist, a retired journalist. Mr. Tuji Bello is the CEO of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. He's live for us here in our Abuja studio. Thanks so much, Mr. Bello, for joining us. Good to see you.
Thank you very much, Shehu.
The last time I saw you were commissioner in Lagos in environment.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Please permit me for a few minutes because I'm being joined on Zoom by Chief Bode George, and I don't know whether the telecoms operator might decide to go on strike. So let me handle the conversation with Chief Bode George, who is virtually with us. That I know I don't have power over right now, but Mr. Bello is here with us right in the studio physically. Just permit me for a few minutes. Chief Bode George is live for us. Chief Bode George now sounds like a medical doctor looking for solution, although he's a retired military man. But his party is in trouble with bloody nose up and down, and the party seems not to have gotten his balance. Chief George, thanks so much indeed for joining us tonight. My worry about opposition party in Nigeria is that in the face of what Nigerians are facing, whether or not your party in the opposition and the rest are really doing their jobs, but at the moment, The party is still fighting for survival because of the internal crisis. But the latest development, the recent issue, the party was so scared, the board of trustees were so scared to hold their meeting at the party headquarters, considering what happened, the scuffling and the punches thrown at the party headquarters. So they had their meeting at Transcorp Hilton. Some of the elders, I'm very sure that they were too scared to stay around that kind of environment. But what kind of situation, and how do you describe that kind of incident that has led to the decision of the BOT holding their meeting outside of the headquarters of the party?
Now, Shem, thank you very much for having me. Don't let us believe that because the BOT has to hold its meeting at the Nikon Hilton means that the elders are scared. No, there's no reason to adduce that they were scared. Now, they wanted the secured environment. They were, the last experience, they had the two contestants, secretaries that brought their own supporters and all that. So they needed a very secure area that long shot you'll be able to decipher. If you are not coming for that meeting, you will be prevented from going through there. There is another back door to enter the Kano Hall where they held the meeting. So that is not the real issue. The issue is that there is no organization anywhere in the world that will not have some disagreements or crisis. But the ability of that organization to resolve their crisis and emerge as a responsible, respectable organization, which will be a measure of their competence to the public. That is what matters. So the PDP has proven it. And I have no qualms about our ability to manage ourselves and come out, much stronger than before. God didn't say that in your journey of life that it will always be a straight line. There won't be bumps. But as long as you come to a situation where justice, fairness, equity are the issues you will consider as the tripod of your decision, all will be well. We have, crossed the first hurdle, and the issue of who is secretary, it became a legal issue. Ayamu stated that there was a judgment by a court of appeal. Okoye also said there was his own from another court of appeal, court of the same jurisdiction, So it required an expert in this field, in the legal field, to share the meeting, to listen and come to terms and report back to the party. And they needed an environment where there will be some quiet, there will be some sanity. Both who are claiming to be secretaries were not allowed into that meeting. And so it shows that the people who are the elders, the custodians of the laws of the party, the custodian of the real owners of the party, waded in at the appropriate time, and they were able to resolve the crisis. Anything outside that will be a mishap.
Chief George, if I jump in quickly.
New. I mean, even when we started, we used to hold meetings in Chief Anini's house when he was chairman of the board of trustees.
If I jump in quickly, Chief George, my question here is the decision made by your colleagues in the BOT, and I imagine that you are being brought up to speed because I know that you've been out of the country with what your colleagues are doing in the BOT. Do you agree with the stance of the rest of the BOT members in siding with Ude Okoye to being the national secretary of the PDP?
So far, the facts that they brought, I am completely on board with that. What do you expect the elders to do? The report was clear that there was no counter Court of Appeal report apart from the one from Okoye. So what do you expect us to do? If Anyanwu decides to go to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court throws out that decision of the Court of Appeal, you will abide by that. But my appeal is this to Anyanwu, is that, like they say in our local parlance, in the north they say kadan kada, in Igbo land we say wayo wayo, in Yoruba land we say ejejeo. We must, a committed member, a loyal member, a dedicated member, where we are now, we should close ranks. A divided house will remain a defeated house. In the interest of his children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, he should just cool it off. Let's go. We have had people who decamped from the party, headed at the national convention. They walked out. They came back. So it's not the end of all the discussions. For the sake of Nigeria, for the sake of our party, for the sake of the future generations of this country, let us turn our bullets, our battle against the government in power. Because if you look at it, we are talking about our power, our parties, these are parties that now, but we will be able to resolve it. But let me take a break. Look at the party in government. Have you heard of any time they have had any national party conference or any party appointees or elected members of their managers of the party? The APC, have they ever held any party meeting since the administration of the current government? No. All you hear is Ganduje, who is the national secretary of their party, who is the national organizing member of their party. All those other positions are not hard. Is there a party, a congregation of strange bedfellows? So when people say, "Oh, PDP is going to be dismembered," I said, "No. It is normal. Any organization, you can disagree, but you must never be disagreeable."
But Chief Judge, let me quickly add. So it's as if Chief Judge, it's as if the same Malay that is troubling your party, a similar thing is also troubling the Labour Party. The NNPP, as reported in our roundup, but you feel that your party is even doing better than the APC in terms of internal coordination. As disorganized as your party is on the surface and what we can see, but it does look like you have a feeling that your party is even better than the APC. Is that what you think?
You can bet that. Who after Ganduje, who is the national secretary of the APC? Who is the national organizing secretary of the APC? Where are the other members of the National Working Committee, members of the APC? Where have you had any meeting? Let me tell you something. You see, the beauty of this is that the taproot, the grassroots of the PDP is still completely intact. Otherwise, I would have been so afraid that we are going to completely collapse. If the taproot of the Iroko tree is still deep rooted, only the wind that is blowing the trees at the top, and we are going to resolve it. We will. I believe in the resolution. You meet A, you meet B. Don't discard A, don't discard B. Listen to both sides. And that is what we did. We didn't just take a decision and came to a conclusion. No.
Let me ask you. There are those who are proposing that look, let Damagum and his colleagues leave the scene. But there are those who say, "Oh, wait a moment! In July, the tenure will be done." From where you stand, Chief George, what do you think would be best? Because at the NEC meeting, I imagine it's going to be fire for fire. How the rest of the party, the NEC, the DOT, will tell Damagun to leave the thing or tell his colleague at the NWC to pack their bags and go, might cause some chaos, don't you think?
That is why you have the elders. That is why, like you said, Agbakiwa Loja Kuriomo Tutuwo. And if an old man sits at the bottom of an Iroko tree and a young man climbs to the top of that tree, what the old man will see, the young man will not see it. We will allow discussions. We will allow debates. We will allow the camaraderie to allow ourselves to exercise our voices. At the end of the day, there will be decision made purely on the legality, the constitution, the directives as laid down by the founding fathers of our party. Because this party is not a private enterprise of any individual. And I have appealed to all sides to calm down. People who are so hell-bent on their personal ambition, you find your way out. You see, the BOT has the power to tell any member who refuses to listen to sound of reasoning to please take a walk. It is there, and we shouldn't shy away from it. This crisis started from the convention that we had, the presidential convention that we held in Abuja. And we've been saying, please calm down. There are the norms, the procedure of people to emerge as presidential candidate, to emerge as national chairman of the party, and all the other organs of the party. There are rules. And if we flout the rules, I am hoping that we have now learned a lesson, because the manipulation of that convention led us to this mess. And we must avoid it for the sake of the future generation of this country. Now,
Chief George,
my friend,
let me ask.
President,
yeah.
Okay.
Do you think your party has been infiltrated?
I can't just jump in and say yes or no. It is possible, because you don't. It's like a police station. You don't shut your doors.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I ask the question is that there are those who think that there is the hand of some fifth columnist. And there are those there is a possibility of external factors or external forces who are troubling the waters in the party. Do you have a sense that, because the reason is, I mean, the effect is going to be far-reaching. You can control the forces within the party, but if there are external factors, you may not be able to control. It's out of your reach.
Sean, when you sit down, when you come to equity, you come with clean hands. When you sit down to discuss, when you sit down uninhibited, if you are serious, you are committed, you are loyal, you are dedicated to the party, we will discuss, we will debate. That is the beauty of democratic organization. When we discuss like that, with intelligence report, people who have been having nocturnal meetings here and there, you on both sides, on all sides, because people are hungry and they are therefore angry. Some people believe the only way, they have no job. The only job they have is going into politics, play it here, play it there. Look at what happened in Lagos. The deputy governor of Lagos State came up and said, oh, this gentleman who is calling himself ABCD collected money from me. He was live on the television. So the same fellow was now trying to vie for a position. People wrote petition to the party. It was considered, and an appropriate decision was taken. This is a party that has rules and regulations and laws. Don't let them take any laws into their hands. If you have a man, if you are at a meeting, wait, if you have a meeting and you are discussing, and somebody just came with certain unfounded rumor that cannot be defended, everybody will know. And in DOT, we do not do any election to elect people as chairman or secretary. It is through discussion. Because once you start doing election within the place, you create friction. If we are tired of the chairman or the secretary or something, it will be debated openly and will be eased out. That is because as the custodian of the party, the morality of the party, the characterization of the personnel and members of the party, that is why we hold it in trust. And I am happy that the first hurdle has been cleared by the BOT. They listened to A, they listened to B. They were not partisan. It's as the result of that report, they took a decision. And I has stated, I've written a letter to the Supreme Court. Fine. If the Supreme Court comes with a counter decision of what we have taken, we will abide by that.
Chief Judge,
but until then, I am asking everybody to be calm.
On a final note, Chief Judge, the Chief Tom Ikimi Disciplinary Committee has set the ball rolling, and they have invited a few people. And there are petitions. Someone like the former governor of Benue State, Samuel Autumn, is going to be facing that panel. And you know, when you hear the disciplinary, the reconciliation, Prince Olagusoye Oyinlola's committee is also there to reconcile the party. Chief Tom Ikimi's committee to discipline and listen to the But this is not the first time. The Ekweremadu committee had been set up. There are committees upon committees or committees that have been set up. The story of the PDP is like the story of Nigeria. We hear a lot of committee and nothing ever happens. So the question is that where lies the interest of the average PDP member in all of this? Will these work?
Now, I want to plead with everybody on all sides. As an elder, as one of those who were elected at the very first elective convention of the party in December 1999. This is not the time to use the party structure to throw people under the train. No. No. I will not agree, because when you saw the list of the names of some of the people who are now going to do disciplinary action or disciplinary action, we got to be careful. Would the man come into, they say when you come to equity, you come with clean hands. We know those who have been A or B or C or D, but there are still people in the party, elders in the party, that can wade in and resolve this crisis without thinking, by sending them before. We have crossed the first hurdle, and the BOT still has the responsibility to ensure that justice, fairness, and equity will be the tripod of this party. I want to plead with them. Don't start rocking the ship. The ship is already in a storm, and if we are not careful, we will become a rudderless ship. And you know what happens to a rudderless ship? It will go down. Because it will be uncontrollable. I want to plead with everybody. All this, Autumn is being invited for questioning, that is being invited. There were people who had behaved worse than Autumn. This is the time for the chairman of the BOT and the other elders of the BOT. There are permanent members of BOT. And there are people who are just there who are not permanent members. Let us behave as defined in the Constitution. We are the custodian of the characterization, the morality of the members of the party. And we must remain like that. This is not the time yet We should set up a committee and we can look at it. This is not the first time we will go into this kind of a crisis. You remember the time when one of our governors was kidnapped? They yanked him off his seat and said he was missing. They have impeached him. They took him away. I was sent to go and get involved in it. And we were able to get him back.
All right.
We were
Judge,
able to resolve the crisis. So please, I am begging the people. This nation needs a robust opposition that will keep the members in government on their toes.
All right.
That is what Nigerians expect. But that because we have this crisis, the wind of change is just at the top of the tree, shaking. The tap roots are well embedded and solid like gold.
All right.
We are not like any other political party. This is the only national party, the golden party of this country. And we will get over that.
Yeah. Chief Olabode George, since 2015, your party has been nursing a bloody nose from that defeat from the election, and it's not gotten its balance. The center is not holding, and I wish you and your political party the very best. Thank you so much indeed. It's always a pleasure having you on the program.
My pleasure always, but let me say this. There is no organization in the world that will not have one crisis or the other at one time or the other. But the ability to handle and resolve the crisis will be a measure of their competence. We are going to deliver that to Nigerians.
Thank you, Chief Judge.
Thank you.
Maybe you should take the complaint of the crisis of your party to FCCPC. I'll be talking to Mr. Tuji Bello, because they take all political party complaint is at their remit. We'll find out. Thank you so much, Mr. Bello, for joining us.
Thank you very much, Isheo.
The interest of the Nigerian people, the average consumer, will pay. And, people make reference to other clients. Oh, if it was in the United States, if it was in Britain, if it was in France, this will never happen. There are drop calls. Nobody cares. Services are just awful and just poorly giving. And I see that your predecessor perhaps did more with big corporates and went after, was looking after the big companies. But I saw that you went to the street. You look like your feet is on the ground. In your own mandate is to monitor, to implement, to ensure that there is adequate service delivery to the Nigerian people. But services are very poor in this country.
Thank you very much, Seun. I think the duty of FCCPC is basically for the promotion of consumer welfare and ensuring economic efficiency. And we do this by ensuring there is fair competition, fair pricing, to the extent that services are well rendered to the public. Where we have a kind of dissatisfaction or discomfort, the consumers have every right to come and complain to us, and we proceed to investigate. And based on that investigation, our findings and so on, we take the next reaction in that regard. With regard to the telecoms, now, I must say, let us be fair, the telecom companies, they've been negotiating for price increase the last 12 years or so. The government, the past and the present, they've not granted it, basically because they feel that it's unjustifiable. Now, in view of the recent inflationary crisis and so on, many of them now saw the need to apply. And I remember, even before I came to the FCCPC, I was part of the government committee. I was looking into the ways by looking at their demands. And one of the things we discovered was that the infrastructure which they had in place were not being well maintained and so on. If you go to some parts of Nigeria, you will discover that to get an adequate network becomes very difficult because of the cost of production. Many of them cannot even sustain them. You have to buy diesel. Most of the time, you don't even get electricity. So they have to supplement and so on and so forth. Now, it's becoming so distressing now, to the extent that if you are not careful, to that extent, you might perhaps, some of them might even quit Nigeria, or some of the telecoms might just collapse. So the FCCPC and the NCC, we've been deliberating on this matter in the last 2.5 years or so and see how can we meet up. The telecom companies, they demanded for 100%. We now said, oh no, this cannot be possible. It is better you start, if you are even going to tolerate increase at all, let us look at the gradual increments. So that has been the situation in the last 2 years. And it has gotten to a stage where many of them cannot even cope anymore. And so when they came with 50%, we said, okay, what we are going to ensure, our own responsibility, we don't determine how they fix their prices and so on. As long as there is fair competition, I want to ensure there is fair competition. In the telecom industry, there are competitors, so they can fix the price at least. We'll be able to get them to come below 50%, between 0 to 50%. Some of them may go for 30%, some of them may go for 40%. But the most important thing for FCCPC is basically to guarantee that there is an efficient service to the consumer. So if you are increasing your prices, at what cost? Who is going to benefit? What are the things that were wrong in the past? So are you going to correct?
Do you have a measurement?
So we have, for instance,
scientific measurement for this.
We have
these indices.
We have our.
Whether or not it is fair, whether what they are asking for is fair on the consumers, which are Nigerians.
To be fair to them, we were able to persuade them to say no, we cannot ask for 100%. We can't go even more than 50% for a start, because all they wanted was 100%. You can say, well, no, it's not possible. Nigerians are already depressed when it comes to looking at prices range all over the country, price of goods and services all over. You cannot add this to the problems of Nigerians and so on. So the NCC, NCC have also been negotiating with them. So we succeeded in joining the NCC, in persuading them to say, okay, what we can be granted should be between 10 and 50%, certainly no more than 50%. So it's now left for the telecom operators to determine at what percentage MTN may decide, okay, I'll go for 40%. The other Globalcom may say, I want to go for 30%. So it's left for them. That is our own agreement with them. Now, beyond that, what we are interested in is the service going to be now more efficient than before? Are people going to get better coverage and so on? There won't be I can't get across when your service is supposed to be running and then somebody put up a code, cannot get through and so on. That is our concern.
So did they give a promise on
the
that?
Consumer? No, we have to ensure that
but they need to be able to commit to it.
No,
Mr. Bello,
they must commit to it.
Yeah, because
now our own is to ensure that they commit to it. That is done. So when the price is finally agreed and they are start implementing it, we are going to start monitoring to see that they provide that efficient services required.
You know what gets a lot of Nigerians angry?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that there is Nigerians are very hardworking.
Precisely.
And you will look at it, our economy is so resilient that when there are depression in so many other countries who are reliant on credit, but because Nigerians are reliant on the daily income, millions of Nigerians rely on those daily income, and they can pursue to feed their families no matter what, and not relying on anybody giving them credit to buy cars, to buy a house, and whatever. And you see that they want to pay for anything good. But the question is that it does look like there's nobody fighting for the right of the consumer. You go to the supermarket, supermarket A, supermarket B, the prices of the same commodity within the same street, in the same city are different. And the consumers are at, they are at the receiving end. These telecoms, and each time I have a conversation about it, the telecoms in this country, these guys do not really care about the people. Yes, they have their constraint. But how many times do the telecoms company have told Nigerians, oh, tomorrow you'll be experiencing interruption? Banks do that. They send messages to say, and emails to say, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., there will be interruption of service. How many times do we just experience interruption? Let's assume that these are cases beyond their power and it comes on emergency. How many times have any of the telecoms come to Nigerians to say, for 5 hours you experience bad service? In that case, we'll give you 50 naira data, 50 naira talk time. They take Nigerians for granted. And we have come to you, Mr. Bello, Can Nigerians look to the FCCPC to say, save us from these guys who collect their money and they're asking for an increment in tariff? Can they ensure that they are responsible in the first place?
Now, recently you notice that we signed an MOU with the NCC because the Nigerian Communication Commission that regulates that industry. I want you to ensure that there's fair prices, there's efficiency and all those things. One of the terms of that MOU is the fact that you provide efficient services to the Nigerians. And our take in this is that we want to ensure that, okay, even they've increased their prices, how are consumers compensated when they are injured? How do they get the necessary efficiency in terms of receiving and then dialing calls to the other party? And so these are some of the things we are going to be monitored, because there's a provision under the MOU that we are to monitor that those things are properly provided. Where a consumer is dissatisfied, they have the responsibility to alert us, and we will take it up on their behalf. We can first of all call the NCC. We may not necessarily talk to the telecoms directly because of our MOU. Say, these are the complaints we have from the consumers, and these are the things. We give them the timeline with which we wish to comply with those things and so on, to remedy the defects. Where that is not done, then we have the right to take our.
So I just want to plead with you, Mr. Yes. Bello. Your role is that of an ombudsman.
Yes.
In this case, on behalf of Nigerians, can we trust that you will fight for us? That look, if I make a call, Mr. Bello, and there's going to be an increase, I make if the first 50 seconds of my call drops, I could not hear you, you could not hear me. I redial, I've done another 50 seconds. I'm paying for it.
Yeah.
I've not been able to achieve my aim of communicating with you. And 3, 4, 5 times, I've done almost 5 or 6 minutes, trying to renegotiate that communication line. And yet it's at my own expense. So I want to plead with you. Can you make a commitment to the Nigerian people tonight that it's not going to be business as usual? Nigerians are not going to be taken for granted. These are hardworking people who fend for a living, who pay for services, but never get under the Tinubu government. Can Nigerians get that commitment from you?
Basically, that's our responsibility, to ensure that Nigerian gets the desired service they have paid for. And we are meant to ensure that that is possible. So part of our MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, we signed with the NCC because we don't want a situation where the two agencies of government be dealing with the telecoms at the same time and so on. You create unnecessary bureaucracy and different distraction. So first of all, escalate problems to NCC. So we ask NCC, please, these are the problems that people are agitating over. How soon can we get resolved? We set a timeline for which to be resolved. And after, if we don't get the result, that's when we now move in and say, okay, look, this cannot continue. So our responsibility is to ensure that the efficiency required.
Mr. Bello, I want you to make a commitment here on this program.
Yeah.
That with you in the saddle, and you've been in public service, you've been on this other side also, holding government accountable, holding the feet of public officers to the fire, and saying you must do that which you are called to do. You're a political scientist also. You are a lawyer, and you have a very solid reputation in the public. Can you give that commitment tonight that it's not going to be business as usual? I'm not sure Nigerians trust the NCC any longer. But with your role, you have the constitutional duty to hold these people to account. Can we get that commitment to you?
Of course. Once we are appointed to this kind of a position, it's your responsibility to ensure that the job is done. And our responsibility is to ensure that we must make sure that we satisfy Nigerians. The FCCPC belongs to Nigeria. NCC belongs to Nigeria.
But will it be business as usual?
It cannot be business as usual.
Under your watch?
It cannot be business as usual.
We can hold you accountable to that.
Oh, we do that to the best of our ability.
Let's take a breather, Mr. Bello. When we come back, the energy issue is another thing. I mean, if you are paying for power, you are in band A. They promise you 18 hours uninterrupted. How many hours are you getting? Mr. Bello and his team are saddled with the responsibility as ombudsman to be able to hold these guys accountable. We'll be right back to look at all of these issues and how your complaints as citizens can be taken seriously. Where can you also file your complaint? These are other issues that you need to know about. when we return from this break, everyone. Everyone for staying with us. Mr. Tunji Bello is the CEO of FCCPC, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, which is has the duty and the prerogative to be able to control pricing, monitor competition within the marketplace. Thanks so much, Mr. Bello. One thing that we are worried about is energy. I know that it does look like your body language is more into the plight of the average person on the street. And in that sense, and there are a lot of disparity. There is a video that went viral. Omole Phase 1 the residents, they marched in Lagos, and they marched to the office. There is a bargain between them and the provider of energy. They were within band A and they're not getting, and they marched there to go and lay complaint. It almost led into a scuffle, and that should not happen.
Yes.
If there is a promise for a certain service, Nigerians must get it. The promise the energy providers told Nigerians through the Ministry of Power was that if you are in Bane, you will get this. And they said Nigerians are big, but a lot of people will tell you. And if I ask Nigerians now to tweet to us so that we can show if you have this kind of complaint, tweet to us and let us know. And you see a lot of the variety of complaints from Nigerians. What are you doing in that sector?
Thank you very much. You know, the issue of energy has been very problematic over decades. I don't even want to even say years.
I was born
decades.
into it.
Yes.
Up Napa generation.
So recently, let me just see if I might recall. Recently, we got complaints from the public that we're going to be charged for new meters. And they escalated the problem to us and so on. We called a meeting. The NERC, the regulatory authority in charge of energy, they came to us and so on. And there we stated that nobody, no Nigerian should pay for any meter. And that was reported. That was just late last year. And the NERC had to ask all the disco to comply with that, and including all the meter suppliers. And they all complied with that. That's to just to show the extent to which we can intervene and the confidence, because we normally collaborate with the fellow agencies. So if anyone has any issue over the energy or over the energy issue, over the supply of electricity to them and so on and so on, they are just escalators. These are the problems we are having. We are not getting the desired services for what we paid for. That is our responsibility to follow up and take the next reaction as required.
It's going to be interesting. The handle, the email that you can send if you've got any of those complaints in whichever sector. I'm hearing pensioners talking about their pensions, and people are asking their rightful monument after serving government for several years, and they're saying when would they get it? You can tweet us so that Mr. Bello can see some of them right on the program. So the big question is that they need to do the right thing.
Yes.
What about
lodge a complaint? If you lodge a complaint, those things.
They channel to lodge a complaint. Will be put on the screen.
It's our responsibility. We will tell you the time. Which we'll get back to you and constantly. So we tell you so that it can be constantly.
Is there a 24-hour call service?
By the time it's displayed, you see everything.
And there's an email that people can.
There's a Facebook, there's Instagram.
And there will be a response.
There will be a response to you. Say, okay, it's the other investigation. Some investigation might even take over a month because of the process you have to go through and so on. For instance, you might invite some of the corporate bodies and so on. The process sometimes might take a very long time, but we keep informing the complainants that we are on it, and this is the stage we are in and so. Recently, there was an issue of housing. There are a lot of houses that was supposed to be provided for. People have paid for their houses, and those houses were not delivered for over 3 years. And because the people involved had to write us. And we took that, we intervened. And when we intervened and so on, some of them are already getting their houses now. Some have paid their money. They said
in Lagos there is a law, and I'm very sure that you were in cabinet. Later on, you became the SSG. A law says stating how much a tenant can pay to a landlord, but a lot of the landlords don't obey it. People collect as much as 2 years' rent, and it's crazy. How can you, in this economy, how can you be paying 2 years' rent? 2 years rent, 2 years tenant agency, 2 years legal, 2 years caution, and service charge. And imagine two people paying 2 million, 2 years rent and all of this in Surulere, someone paying 2 bedroom for almost 7 million at a package. I mean, that is unfair.
You know, I mean, the Ministry of Justice in Lagos State is responsible for monitoring that. There is a committee responsible for it. If people lodge complaints, proper complaint about, because I've witnessed when I was in government in Lagos State, I've seen several interventions that were very positive, that the Ministry of Justice had to intervene on behalf of tenants against the landlords. So if people lodge a complaint to the proper channel, I believe that some of them can be solved. I'm not saying that all of them can be sorted out, but I believe strongly that the Lagos State Minister of Justice has a department in charge of this, that takes charge of that issue of rent.
What about pricing of petroleum products? And even the quality, because there are arguments as to which of these products are. I've had the experience where I bought a fuel and it messed up my engine.
Yeah.
And you go back to the filling station, there's nothing you can do.
You see, first of all, the consumers have to understand, they have to understand the rights that they have under the law. That if you have been cheated by your producer or by the seller and so on, you have to lodge a proper complaint to the authority. This is what
Some people say they lodge complaint, but nobody listen to them. They don't get a reply. They don't get a response.
But we are now saying that there is FCCPC, which has been on since 2018 when the law was reviewed. It used to be a consumer and an National Consumer Council before, but the scope was expanded. Even on mergers and acquisition now, if there is going to be a merger and acquisition, the FCCPC has to approve it.
No, so I asked about pricing. And I know also that in terms of petroleum product pricing, distance of transportation, and you might not be able to get it across, but can we get a situation where that is also, there's a balance?
Where there's a where there's a law of supply and demand, we cannot intervene. Where there's a proper, there's efficiency in the market and there are competitions, fair competition. I don't think the FCCP can interfere and dictate the price. Once we can guarantee there is fair competition, people cannot be saying that, okay, this is the prevailing price in the market. The FCCP cannot come out and say, no, this is the price you must take. We cannot do that. We are not a price control body. I want to ensure fair competition of the consumers.
But also that
with respect to what he has purchased and what he has purchased or he has bought.
So there are, and I want to let our viewers know that yes, if Mr. Bello is saying there are channels to communicate your complaint, those are there. You can quickly take a snapshot of it on your screen right now, and you can through those channel of communication. They are on Facebook and social media. There are also telephone through which you can lay your comment, and also email that you can officially attach document, and investigation will be carried out. Or you can also revert to us when you cannot, and we can call the FCCPC out, because if FCCPC is the ombudsman, there should be an ombudsman on the FCCPC if they don't do their jobs also. But we do know that they know their duties and they will do them. Let's do our own part as citizens. That if you feel unfairly treated as a consumer, you have a channel to communicate your frustration, and in that sense, whether or not they will listen is something that we need to get the commitment of Mr. Bello. On the final note, in all of this, there are those even who are afraid that they were going to bring agricultural products that are not organic into the market. It will shorten the lives of Nigerians. Nigerians just want assurances that whatever that is brought into this country is good, and that Nigeria does not become a dumping ground, and that when they are unfairly treated, somebody is listening and action is being taken, and Nigerians are not taken for granted. And those are some of the assurances that Nigerians
that's the assurance. That's what we are saying. You must be able to lodge a proper complaint that this is what I've paid for, this is what I've been provided. This is not as satisfactory as far as I'm concerned, and so on. And that is our responsibility. You have paid for something, and then you are not provided the necessary services. You don't get the desired. It has to do with the quality of service that you are provided, or what you have paid for, you do not get it, and so on. It's our responsibility to now intervene and say, why we ask the producer, the seller, or whoever, or the manufacturer, say, why did you provide this for the consumer when it's not the kind of thing that he paid for? It's part of our responsibility, and we are ready to guarantee the interest of the consumer at all times.
Look, Mr. Bello, for the interest of the Nigerian people, we are channels who partner with you. Let us know how we can help the consumer so that producers will not take Nigerians for granted, and the effort or the interest of the Nigerian people are really, really taken care of. But I wish you and your team the very best. We are behind you if you're doing the right thing, and we hope that you get the best out of your office. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Bello.
Thank you very much, Sheung.
I appreciate it. That's our show for tonight, everyone. What a week is being interesting. We've got a guest that I've confirmed for Sunday, and I'm looking forward to that conversation. I'll see you 8 p.m. on Sunday, God willing. I'm sure Joaquin Baloye. God bless Nigeria.